do we accept the world and change ourselves, or do we change the world and accept ourselves? And so it's a really interesting dichotomy when you ask the question, because both of those sound right. You're like, I should accept myself and change the world. But on the other hand, you're like, wait, no, I should accept the world and change myself.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, because they're both pithy. Pithy
aphorism porn.
Right. And so I think all of it comes down to when you change yourself, you will change the world because you will change how you see it.
I think as well, when it comes to accepting yourself, do you want to accept you? Do you want to accept a version of you that you shouldn't accept? One that you're not proud of, one that doesn't live up to their word, one whose thoughts, actions, and intentions aren't aligned fully. You go, well, I mean, I can, but I don't particularly feel good about that. That feels like the higher version of me, the potential version of me that I want to live up to is, I'm sort of derogating them, that this isn't really the tribute to them that it should be. And yeah, that's why the self-acceptance movement, that's why people feel icky about it. People feel icky about the self-acceptance movement because they know that people are accepting a version of themselves which is falling short from what it could be.
I would say that they're not accepting themselves in saying that they accept themselves. So if I say, is there a version of yourself that's better than you are right now? And most people hopefully would say yes. It's like, great, accept that person. And I think that, to me, when we talk about the authenticity, accepting yourself is accepting the ideal that we can live up to. And that is what we accept, not the shitty version of that we are today. And I think that marries both sides of the argument.
Jimmy Carr broke my brain with this one. Everyone is jealous of what you've got. No one is jealous of how you got it.
I love that quote.
My God. People see the trophies, but not the training ground.
Everybody wants the view, but no one wants the climb. I love it. If you want to take a break at every 2 steps and take in the view, do it. I mean, in 4 generations, no one will remember your name. And so enjoy the view if you feel like it. I just happen to enjoy how much I can see that I can do. That's what I enjoy. And I feel like I am most present when I work. And so I'm not going to go into work-life balance, whatever, because we already know where that conversation goes. But people have a harder time accepting that someone can just work all the time and truly love it. And I define that by there's nothing else I would rather do at any time. And so for me, I feel like I exercise absolute freedom in my life. And freedom is reinforcing for all species, dogs, cows, fish, humans. Freedom is one of the most positively reinforcing thing that people have, that everyone wants freedom.
Everybody wants to be able to say, fuck you.
Right. But once you say fuck you, you have to do something, because you can't just stand there and saying fuck you over and over again for hours for the rest of your life. You start to do something. And that thing that you choose to do after you say fuck you is what you want to do.
That's an interesting point. So there are certain things that you have to do to get to the point where you don't have to do things you don't want to do. And then when you're liberated, there is a whole new challenge now, because it's a completely blank map where you have to actually define that. That's one of the things, about working for yourself. There's a lot of derogation about 9-to-5s and university education and kind of the typical track and stuff. Like, bro, you should be very cautious about criticizing people that have more normal salaried 9-to-5 jobs, because I look at most of my friends and they can't not take their work home with them. So for certain psychological makeups, who's more free? The person that actually gets to shut their work laptop at 5 p.m. In France, they've got this new policy now where you can't email staff after, I think it's maybe 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. at night in certain businesses to try and sort of enforce this work-life balance and stuff like that. So for certain people, you're shaking your head. What's your problem?
I mean, my first thought was, well, France just took its irrelevant economy and just made it less relevant. And secondarily, the person who made that rule is someone who fundamentally doesn't understand human behavior. So if they were to pass that rule for me, then what they did is they actually made my life worse.
This was the thing when Elon took over Twitter. So it's one of my favorite stories over the last couple of years. Elon buys Twitter. Elon finds out that 80% of the staff base just drink smoothies and go on hot girl walks all day. And he fires them.
Yeah.
And says, this team, it was him and a bunch of Asian dudes, selfie. And he says, this is the team that's going to run Twitter now. And he puts, I think, a job posting out, maybe on Twitter. And he says, I want people who want to work harder than they ever have on the most difficult problems in the world and blah, 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 blah. And he got tons of shit for it. And they said, this is a regressive policy for industry. This is taking people back to sending kids up the chimneys and so on and so forth. And it's just a complete failure of theory of mind that there are people out there for whom that is the job advert. I want to work harder than I ever have on the most difficult problems in the world at an intensity that would kill most people, because that's where I derive pleasure and satisfaction from. That's the best situation that I could hope for. And trying to take your model of, well, yeah, but what about my maternity leave? And yeah, but what about, jeans Fridays? And yeah, but what about, hot girl walks? All of that is those are things that people don't want. Adding those in gets in the way of the thing that they do want.
I think a lot of the confusion around the people who are wanting to work harder than they are, or don't like that I work hard or that you work hard, think that they take this statement as a judgment or a criticism on how they live their life. And it's because on the other side of that free line, you're like, okay, I'm now free. I have a blank slate. If I do something or you do something that they deem painful for them now, or something that they don't enjoy, they then say, you are suffering and that is bad. And both of those things I reject wholeheartedly. First, you don't know that I'm suffering because you have no idea what's going on inside of me, and also, what does your judgment mean at all to me?